Listen, we play the best of today's music.
Shikisha, kakola kekuli. Chekobo. Onjala, hapumboka pana. Ondelega bandeta nekatana. Tumeno kana no kapama. China hafa hamamba no chan. Chekobo, tumeno chekobo. Hano chige matiro bazuka. Hangura kanjego kwachuka. Okwali kuli hanguli hakuta. Ondeka pombi sinywa katuta. She wants some money. Wakuvaranga my baby. I hope you happy. Wakuvaranga my baby. Wangu ni wangu iwe. Wangu iwe. Okeja kunu kuma champion. Irame korola tate genera. Akurupe ya kazare derera. Hana chike wimangele kerera. Ikuza mondika nigo fendera. Ofendera sigo komberera. Ondubite na onda mono tendera. Ondam tingini. Sotade. Baby, what do you know? Let me know. Bangi kava wamba, don't let me go. I want you to know that I'll never let you go. You're the only one I want to bless. Now everything I do is me. Cause of you can't me. Oh yeah, kondi were. Nikutware kwa mamembe. Inodi mbanje shanje shokuvere. Unima otusho kufendera. Ituye nasigoko kebe. Ukamone kuchanga sebe. Seven pesu. Donana wakwata pedu. Henduru shaka jakerera. Uruefu mola no kom simbot. She wants some money. Wakuvaranga my baby. I hope you happy. Wakuvaranga my baby. Wangu ni wangu iwe. Wangu ni wangu iwe. Okeja kunu kuma champion.
Yeah, well, that's nobody but Tatabuti with Check Obo here on Informanté Live on this wonderful Friday morning, the time being 25 minutes past 8 o'clock. Here in the company with Kaufi, and Maria will be joining us in the next couple of minutes. Yes, because nobody else but our dear anchor, Neville Basson, will not be part of the show this morning. In fact, he is traveling the country. And from what I understand is that he's traveling into the south. And here we have the lady in charge, nobody but Maria Eleca. Nice to have you with us.
Good morning.
How are you doing? It's Friday.
And we won.
Yes, the cops won. Congratulations. So you guys have got the
Half
afternoon
day.
off. Eh? I actually also have half day off, although I'm not a cop. I'm a winning crook usually. And yeah, but I'm also half day off, so I'm looking forward to that. Okay, so Maria, shall we continue with the news?
Yes, please go ahead.
Let's go ahead.
Informanté News. Firm but fair.
This is Informanté Live, and these are our top stories. Various parts of Namibia are currently experiencing varied rainfall. The Namibia's Meteorological Services reports that rainfall will continue in the northeast, east, central and southeastern parts of the country. Flash floods are expected in the Karas region this morning. The Namibia Bus and Taxi Association has announced a 15% increase of bus and taxi fares effective as from the 1st of November. The increase is practically the normalization of the temporary fares that were enforced during the COVID-19 lockdown when buses and taxis operated at half capacity. NAPTA's acting president, Jeffrey Platt, issued a statement on Thursday saying that the association's National Executive Committee met recently and agreed on a 15% fare increment due to the increased prices of fuel, food, and many other essential commodities. And finally, new conventional and prepaid electricity meters have been installed at the Etosha National Park by the Ministry of Environment, Forestry and Tourism at the tune of close to 3 million Namibia dollars. The same will eventually be done at the Waterberg Plateau, Vonbach and also Downville National Parks. This comes after the Namibia Wildlife Resort and the Tourist Ministry signed an agreement. In a statement issued by NWR, the agency that manages the country's national parks said after the project it will reimburse the Tourism Ministry 20% of the total cost for meters installed. Your Trustco share price today, the 22nd of October, is at 2 Namibia dollars and 30 cents per share. Then taking a brief look at the financial indicators, the Namibia dollar is trading against the US dollar at 14 Namibia dollars and 40 cents, against the euro at 16 Namibia dollars and 80 cents, and against the British pound at 19 Namibia dollars and 90 cents. This is Informanté Live, and these were our top stories. You can find more on our website, which is informante.web.na.
Informanté News. Informanté News. Informanté News. Firm but fair.
1894 saw a great need for general goods and equipment being brought in from Europe, and thus Vormanenbroek was established. Now, 127 years later, we still aim to provide you with an affordable variety of products at easily accessible supermarkets along the coast and in the north of Namibia. Your Vorman, your specials, your supermarket.
Ladies and gentlemen, Informanté Radio is now live at the coast. Tune in now.
All right, let's do this.
At 103.3 FM.
And welcome Informanté's Radio to the coast.
Well, there we have it. The news in short and also in detail. What are you thinking about in terms of the taxi fares, Mario? Quite a contentious issue, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we tried to do the maths. It's about an increase of $1.80.
Right.
Around.
Right.
Stand corrected, somewhere around there. Of course, I don't make use of taxis.
Sure.
Much or at all. But I think, yeah, it's a tough one because of the economy. I think everybody's really, really going through it.
Yeah.
Including taxi drivers, I guess, taxi owners as well. So I just don't know if it's a good move.
Yeah, we've seen over the last couple of days these exorbitant fuel increases in South Africa. And I mean, that is just a matter of time until it's going to hit us as well.
Yes,
so
yeah.
the fuel prices are expected to go up, and with that go up the bus fares, the taxi fares, and all that kind of stuff. The big question that just exists is this affordable to the commuters?
Yeah. I feel like cost of living keeps going up, but our salaries remain the same.
Yes. So in terms of, let's say, salary increments and salary increases, they've basically remained the same for make it 2 years because of COVID, you know, while the rest of the world just happily moves on in terms of increasing prices.
Yep.
So it's going to affect, I think, to a great deal, the need and demand.
The problem is, I think a lot of people are at the mercy of taxis and buses.
Yes.
You don't have a choice. You can't exactly say, well, I'm gonna look at the market and find a cheaper taxi.
Yes.
Or I'm gonna walk.
Right.
I know there's the municipal bus, but it can't cater to everybody.
Yeah.
And it also, I don't think it's accessible to everybody.
Yeah, I know that there are a lot of people that have to walk quite a distance in order to get to a bus terminal.
And you have to get there at certain hours, so you don't have the luxury. I know some people that have to arrive. The lady across, the lady that works at the house across from us, every time I leave the house, she's usually sitting there. When I leave the house to go drop off the kids, she is usually sitting there until I'm about to go to work. So she sits there for a good hour,
right,
waiting to start her day,
right,
at 8. So she gets there before 7. Yeah, because usually 10 minutes to 7, I find her sitting there, and she only really starts walking up closer to 8. So, and that's because she's using the municipal bus. So to make that bus, she needs to arrive early for work, and so she just sits outside on the pavement, not outside,
Yes.
yes, just waiting for her time to start.
Yes. We also find in Pioneers Park, there where we stay, just around the corner from us, there is a bus stop. And we quite often notice how long these people actually sit at the bus stop before the bus actually arrives.
Absolutely, sad.
You know?
Yeah.
So there we have it, the sad news on a Friday that the bus fares and also the taxi fares are going up. Okay, shall we look at the coronavirus cases quickly? 128,414 registered cases. 124,000 on the dot have been recovered, with 3,544 deaths. Active cases as of this morning, 820, with daily new cases, and these are the statistics of the 19th of October at 24. Total deaths in terms of coronavirus today, well, yesterday, day before yesterday, sorry, on the 20th of October, we have 3. And then we have an absolute miracle coming into the studio. What? I thought you were away.
Ek kom sê net gou hallo, nee.
Ja.
I'll be leaving in 20 minutes. Ja, daar gaan ek. Ja.
Sê net jy het die show gemis.
Ja, I missed you guys.
You missed us.
Ek het net gedink, let me quickly just come and say hi, because, you know, I need to be on the road by 9 o'clock. Dus ek, wa. Kom sê net gou vir my familie hallo.
I think that's very nice of you.
Ja. Ek mis julle tog.
Yes.
Ja.
Okay, vertel gou, where are you going?
Kan ek myself hoor? Ja, I can hear myself.
You can hear
Sorry, I just wanted to say his verse says, I love. Is it I love?
Yeah.
I love Namibia with Lazarus Jacobs and Neville Basson. And here's the thing,
Wow.
guys. Before we get into the COVID numbers.
Tog, weet jy.
So
Ek het gekom, I came in peace.
So Neville informed me that they are traveling to Vaso?
Yeah, we're going to the deep south today.
All right.
Yeah.
They're going to this place that is typical for couples.
For couples.
Yes.
So Laz and Nev are going to as a couple.
They're going as a couple because this accommodation facility is only caters for 2 people at a time. You have your open, you know, it's a romance, open shower to the bedroom, you know. And then you have your kitchen. So you have a chef that comes and cooks and prepares food for you, and you have a whole pool to yourself. You walk down and go to the pool. It's a really, but it's for couples. So I was asking,
Luister.
this is probably the first time in the history of this lodge or this facility where 2 friends
book into this romantic thing. Is it true what they say
Kan
that
ek
real
myself-
love exists only amongst men?
Daar sê. Ja.
Daar sê.
Ja. You know what?
Explain yourself.
There's been a gay rumor about me and Lazarus for the longest time. Since probably 1992.
Okay.
Nee? And this gay rumor between the 2 of us just don't want to go away.
You guys are
Yes.
not helping matters.
Yeah, we're not there.
Vanessa Guibeb asks, what's the name of the lodge that you guys are going to?
It's the Desert Whisperer. Okay, just to give a little bit of context. You
Okay.
know what? Me and Laz are busy traveling the country with Gondwana. So the whole concept that we have is that you know what, we want to showcase Namibia in a very light-hearted way.
Aha.
In terms of its people, in terms of tourism, while we obviously indulge in, you know, the banter, the comedic banter between the 2 of us,
Right.
you know, the whole time. So it's quite an exciting project that we are busy with. So today or this weekend is now the southern leg of what we do. So we're going to be going to the Desert Whisperer and Desert Grace in Sauces Flay and Reeboth and Klein Oop and Samkubes. And
Yes.
so
Yes.
we're doing all these things. And there's a little German history also there.
Okay.
Want die pastors het gesê they don't want compensation
Right.
for the German genocide. apparently het hulle vir julle gebliksem by some Kubes.
That was just by
They
some
need
Kubes.
to pay the Germans compensation
Yes.
because they
Reobot betaal ons. So we can take that money and give it to the Herreros. So another, you Herreros are coming with a long plan again. Get Reobot to pay you guys through us.
Yeah, no, so I just forgot something here at the office. I said, let me quick, what? And I was like, I need to pick this up. I said, hey, wa. Kom ek kom sê net gou 'n bietjie hallo, you know.
Cello, Humble Giant says, Neville and Les gaan julle na die Keetmanshoop se dam toe. Are you going to go to...
Ons sal daar by die dam verbygaan.
Okay.
Daar by die 12se dam.
Right.
Rihanna says, so Neville is a Gondwana influencer. He het my contract gesteel.
Oh, I sorry.
I think the only issue with me, I think I was trying to negotiate a helicopter. And I only found a rainy.
Johnny van Reini, nee. Oh.
Like, take me with a helicopter. Let me get there. I enjoy when I'm at the lodge. I love it. I love lodges. I just don't like
driving.
Girlfriend,
Koffie, praat tog met hierdie vrou asseblief. Enjoy the scenery. Kyk rond en so. Stop pipi langs die pad, you know. Yeah.
I mean, it's not like I complain, you know what I mean? I'm not those people that are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? I'm not saying I do that. But I really, some places you just want to see, especially the ones on the Skeleton Coast or like the desert, you know, Sources Play. There's so many beautiful lodges that side.
But Maria,
you
you fondly like traveling.
I do.
And
I
doing
love,
the lodging
I
thing.
love traveling.
Yeah.
Absolutely love traveling.
The first one, with our first leg, we did.
Oh, that's probably. They are do exactly the same what Neville did yesterday.
So.
Sorry.
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah. So the first leg we did the north. We were at King Nehale. And basically that whole area, Etosha, etc. You know, the north is beautiful. And I think and I think the discussion that we had the other day in terms of the north or the south, which does it for you. To see elephants and lions and God knows what kinds of animals. I mean, that whole Etosha, King Nahale area was just beautiful, and also it was really in Tuva. It was really the first time that I had so much insight into the Ndonga history and tradition, and to spend time with the Ndonga king and queen for a weekend, where they basically also discuss, you know, the synergy and the history between the Ova Herero and the Ndonga, as they bravely fought the Germans. Every discussion we have, there is a German name in there. Yeah.
Somewhere.
Hoekom kan julle nie uit die oorlog bly nie?
Yeah, but
Seriously,
war is always exciting and interesting.
If there are Germans involved.
Yes. If you look at the past 3,000 years, the Germans were involved. The Germanen.
Yeah, the Germanen.
Yeah.
You were basically the barbarians of old.
Yeah, pretty much. And then later on it developed into the Germanics and all that. So we actually...
You fought the Roman Empire.
Oh, yeah. And then you must remember we had Gallian is a certain
Gallian
province that stuck it out against the Romans.
I remember. I remember the history. Rich history.
Gallo, I think. Yeah, but that's, I mean, this kind of fighting comes from Northern Europe.
So then you must start Instagram. Je moet op Instagram, je moet ook soos op die stoel is, die King Nahale.
Oh, I'm glad you say that. Are you guys doing the south now? And then later on you'll be doing the north?
We did the
north.
Oh, you've done the north.
Yeah, we did the north. And Lazarus must, you know, Mr. Instagram.
Yeah.
So these things you're talking about, the King Nehale chair and the visit to the Ndonga king, he posted some snippets of it. Yeah, so...
Op Instagram.
Yeah, so we're doing the southern leg now, so ons sal nou so Sondag aan sal ons nou terugkom, so I'm very much looking forward to it. Because, you know, when it comes to the people of Namibia, I love the people of the south. because you know what? As much as I do speak English, forced English with you guys, I like speaking Afrikaans. It's the language I grew up with. So van hieraf kan eens toe, Rebor toe. Daar word net Afrikaans gepraat. This whole show will be English subtitles.
But you guys going to do the show in Afrikaans?
Ons doen hom in enige taal. Like when we were in the north,
Yes.
Lazarus being the Vambu,
Yeah.
between the two of us, he spoke a lot of Oshiwambo, you know, with the people up there.
Yes.
So I waited for this leg of the tour.
Okay.
Dat ek Afrikaans kan praat.
Okay. So are we going to see you live on the social media platforms? Or?
Yeah, there's a production that we're busy with, and there will be a rollout as to this,
okay.
as to what we're doing. The
Some
whole
of us
country.
have not had our request accepted.
Wat nou?
Op Facebook, are we friends? So ek kan mos nie jou goed sien nie.
Luister, daar's sommige
With
mense wat
friends
nie op
like
Facebook
this,
is nie.
nobody.
Ja. Daar's mense wat nie op Facebook
Ja, maar ek
is.
wil mos nou kyk soos mos nou hierdie goed. I want to see how you guys are romance, the bromance.
The bromance.
At that whisper thing.
Desert Whisperer.
Yeah.
Apparently it's beautiful.
It's stunning.
Oh, jy was daar.
No, I wasn't there, but I have friends that went there. Baie mooi.
Maria says it was not.
Die ding is baie duur, ek kan nie wat kos nie. Can't afford it.
Ja. A few comments voor ek gaan.
Ja, Vanessa Guibeb sê, Neville, gee vir my 'n lift tot Mariental.
Gire toch al sê.
Maybe she's being serious.
Klacht ek het gaai.
Do you know that Mrs. Basson sees these comments?
Hey, shh. Los die story.
Hey.
Ja.
Sien jy, dis dan soos 'n special. Dis vir 2 mense gemaak.
It's beautiful. It's very beautiful.
So how are you guys going to share the bed?
No.
Yes, have you got special underwear?
Every Hey, Koffie. Hey, Ganji.
There's nothing better than bromance.
Ja.
That is
Yeah.
romance amongst brothers.
Ja.
Bromance.
Nee. Everyone, elkeen kry sy eie chalet. So.
Oh,
Ja.
I thought there's only one chalet.
Nee.
alright.
then you like
Yeah.
sneak over in the middle of the night kind of thing.
Ja. Ja, verstaan jy?
It goes like this. Hey Leslie,
Slap jy?
Leslie, laat my in.
Nee, slap jy. Ja. That was the guys, all of you out there, you young people. Ja. Julle ken mos as julle Mavutu laat gaan kuier in die aan. This was the first thing you know. Slap jy.
Yeah. Well, if you know they want to come over, to your place, then you get a WhatsApp, like at 11 o'clock at night. What are you doing?
Das dit.
What the hell?
Oh, that's true.
That is-
I went on a date.
Wat maak jy?
He dropped me home. He got to his place. Obviously, then he's like, no, what maak jy? I'm so bored. I'm like, ek lag uit.
Ek lag uit. Sis Maria. Jy
No,
die
he
mans
wants,
se kos
he's like, nee,
geëet.
ek kan jou kom al. I'm like, maar jy het my nou afgelei.
Ja.
It's like, ja, maar ek kan...
Ek kan weer.
Ja, ek kan weer kom.
Ja.
Ons kan net 'n bietjie hang by my plek. Toe sê ek, nee.
There was a guy I know that he was in Oshikango, and the girl was in Tsumeb. It was like 10 o'clock at night,
Right.
and she said to him, "Luister, I'm going to South Africa tomorrow morning. Ne? I'm driving from Tsumeb 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, and then I'm gonna go to Joburg. As jy wil, dan moet jy nou kom. Ne? You know how crazy a man is that you can drive 10 o'clock at night from Oshikango to Tsumeb
Yes.
net vir die 3 minute. Die 3 minute voel dat sal ek terugry. That's the magic of it.
Unbelievable.
Ja, unbelievable.
It's a bit much.
Ja, ons sal ry, ons het almal gery.
Estemish says, Neville, it's a trap, don't give lifts.
Nee, Vanessa sal ek lief
She
gee.
also said you gave up on Mavutus in Tura a long time ago.
Vanessa will get me out of retirement. Ja. Ek sê net, ons net mekaar nga verstaan. Ja. Kalfie, doen gou jou COVID.
COVIDs have been done already.
Oh.
So we've done that already.
And
You know what's
when-
interesting? We've recovered exactly 124,000 on the dot.
Nee.
Recovered, yeah.
Oh, that's good news.
So 3,544 deaths. Then the active cases currently in Namibia 820.
Yeah.
So I think you are safe driving to the south.
Guys.
Now, daily new cases as of the 19th of October was 24. 3 deaths on the 20th of October.
Yeah.
Is Les vaccinated?
Jong, you asking me a very good question now, Tuva. Die mogo, ek sal hom nou gaan vra. Why are you asking me that now? How come I never asked him? Hey!
Yes.
But I thought you ask everybody that's supposed to come to your house.
I know, but the
He
problem
hasn't
is
been
he's
there.
too close. He's too close. And you know what? We forget about
Those that are closest to us.
Ebaga Murskiba. Wag, ek sal hom vra nou. I'm picking him up at his office now anyway, yeah.
Okay, then the weather for today. In the interior, partly cloudy and warm to hot with a few thunder showers in the northeast and the extreme southwest. So you'll look
Yeah.
Elsewhere, it's going to be sunny and warm to hot. Fresh to strong westerly winds are expected to persist. The coast partly cloudy and cool with fog patches in the morning, with the wind light to moderate northwesterly to southwesterly. Then we're going to have a look at the maximum temperatures for the south. Keetmanshoop, 27.
Saite, my
Let's say, ne? Okay, Marintal 32. And let's have a look at Rehoboth. You guys are also making a stop at Rehoboth to go and fetch our money. 29 degrees in Rehoboth. Okay? And then in Windhoek, 27 at the coast. Swakopmund, 18. Walvis Bay, 22. Then we're going to the northern parts of the country, looking at Omuthia, 37. And Oshakati, also 37. Then the Zambezi, Katima Mulilo, 31. Then we're coming down to Gubabis, 30 degrees. And that is the weather for today.
Guys, you must have a swell weekend.
Thank you so much.
And you guys there on the stream have a blessed weekend.
Jy gaan maar tot 9 uur bly.
Ek kan nie. Ek moet
Laat Matthias
9 o'clock I have to be I have to be there. So
Dave Bambo as jy daar gaan, he's not even going to be ready.
thank you.
Ek ken hom.
Oh!
He's not going to be ready. Ek ken Dave Bambo.
Hy is hier. Waar is hy? Seker hier rondom Chris. Hy sal hom sê.
Chris het nuwe tande.
Wow. I
you saw that?
I didn't notice.
Maar nie verraad nie. Maar nie.
Ja.
Yeah.
Ek dink vanoggend aan nou in die genocide debat. Ek is die survivor van die first genocide na independence. A white, middle-aged, Afrikaans-speaking male. I survived. Don't you remember that?
We are coming for you.
Ek sê Chris, hoekom lyk jy sexy
Waarop
vandag? There's something sexy about you today.
Something is different. It's as honors.
Give me your doctor's number.
Listen, you are so right. For the last how many years, Lazarus bly laat
Yeah.
vir alles, yeah. But yeah, we said that we're going to be meeting at Gondwana at 9 o'clock, so I need to go pick him up and then I have to be off.
All right.
So guys,
Have a safe
Neville,
travel.
enjoy. Will you be back on Monday?
yeah, I'll be
Okay.
back on Monday.
Yeah, yeah.
So we've set up, hey, I've seen the pictures. That is so cool.
Yes.
We would love to have this discussion
Yes.
with her.
Yes.
Pump my shack.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Back, yeah.
Julle moet intune maandag.
Monday.
Nee,
We're going to have
what's her
Zita
name?
Jesus on the show. She's an interior designer and decorator. I'm sure you people know about Orange Peel Interiors. Go check them out on Instagram. But she has also a project called Pimp My Shack, where she goes in communities and she does a makeover of the shacks so that she can give the people in those informal settlements a sense of dignity.
Right. Yes.
But we'll hear her story on Monday. It's very, very exciting. Lovely girl. You're going to love her. Yeah, so Monday.
Sharp.
Neville, stay safe and we'll see you on Monday.
Well, guys.
Well, that leaves you and I for the morning show.
Just the two of us.
Yes. Okay. So, are we going to do it a sad show, or are we going to do it exciting show?
Friday is
Friday
about
show.
excitement. Yeah.
Okay. So, now with, are you going to be social this weekend?
Probably not.
Not?
No.
Ah, okay. Because, I mean, there are clubs that stay open until 10 o'clock at night, and we don't have a curfew anymore. Or has this changed you a little bit more into a home
No, I think
staying
clubs can stay
person?
open longer, but they can't sell alcohol past
of
10.
10, yeah.
So I think most of them are closing by 12 because, I mean, they give the customers at least their 2 hours to finish whatever they purchased.
Yes.
Dan
Yes.
moet hulle huis toe gaan.
Yeah.
And I think after that people just go to houses. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what people are doing.
Well, and then the other thing, it's not quite payday yet because today is only the 22nd. So, you know,
I didn't even
think
know that.
payday is probably only going to be next week. So
Yeah.
I don't think we'll be expecting too much traveling on the road and all of that. And people potting it up, we'll probably only see that towards next
Do
week.
Namibians need money to travel like that? Do they need to? I mean,
Well, it depends, I guess.
I used to think like that, Hannes, but now whenever I go to
Mm-hmm.
when I go to the mall,
Yeah.
during midweek, it's packed. People always seem to have money. I don't
So
know.
that what we think is happening is actually the opposite.
What's happening?
We're saying, okay, no, it's not payday yet. People are not spending money
Yeah.
and all that. But meantime, the malls are all filled to capacity.
Go to Grove Mall. Go to Grove Mall today afternoon. It's a Friday,
Right.
right? Go there around say 6ish, 7ish.
Yeah.
Especially 7, where the restaurants are. You know, it's sunset. People can have like their cocktails and have their meals, and people can go to the cinema. Go there, you'll see. Parking lot is full.
Wow. Okay. Good sign for the economy.
So, yeah, well, the GDP has grown. Apparently, we
Yes.
saw a report recently. But
We did have a report on the GDP. In fact, I think I do have it right here with me. Let's have a look at this particular story. We're talking about the repo rate.
Yes.
So the Bank of Namibia has announced that it will keep interest rates unchanged with the repo rate maintained at a current 3.75%. So the governor of the central bank, Johannes Gavasap, said that the Monetary Public Committee is of the view that the accommodative monetary policy remains appropriate to support the weak domestic economic activity that is still being weighed down by the COVID-19 pandemic. He said at this level, the repo rate is deemed appropriate to safeguard the one-to-one link between the Namibia dollar and the South African rand while meeting the country's international financial obligations. So the clever people at the Bank of Namibia, the ones that make sure that the economy goes into the right direction and is best for us, all of us Namibians, they are keeping the repo rate at 3.75%, which then automatically makes credit facilities more available.
absolutely.
So people who then want to buy certain things that need finance, solutions, like banks giving out loans
Yes,
and all
yeah.
that, what they are basically saying to us now, they're keeping it the same. It's becoming affordable to perhaps go to a bank and borrow, and then, if people do that, then hopefully the economy will start strengthen
Yeah.
itself.
Yeah.
So that's actually quite good news, eh?
It's some relief. It's some relief. I think everybody needs it.
Yeah,
We all need it. Yeah.
yeah. Well, there we have that. Another story that has made headlines in the Informanté is the national parks. Did you see that story?
Yes.
I don't quite understand this. So maybe we can just give our viewers and listeners a little bit of a heads up here. So the Informanté has reported that new conventional and prepaid electricity meters have been installed at the Etosha National Park by the Ministry of Environment, Forestry and Tourism at the tune of close to 3 million Namibia dollars. The same will eventually be done at Waterberg Plateau, Von Bach and also Downville National Parks. And this has come after Namibia Wildlife Resorts and the Tourist Ministry signed an agreement. How does that work, Maria? Do you have the insights on this story?
No, they didn't give us details. All I know is they have the prepaid now. I think
Okay.
in the past they used to get a direct bill from NEM Powers.
Right.
and then the ministry would pay that. It would be the Ministry of Environment, I believe. Tourism would pay that bill.
Okay.
And now with prepaid, it's like the national park will be responsible for its own electricity, so to say.
Right.
So you basically put credit, it's prepaid.
Okay. So the way that we see this is NWR is now going to buy electricity up front.
Yes.
Okay.
Prepaid, yes.
Okay.
Like we do at our homes.
Right. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, like we do at
Sure.
our, it's exactly that. Because there's now prepaid electricity meters. Just that in the past, the bill used to go to the ministry.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, for all the ministry activities, it went there. But now NWR is going to be responsible for their own bill with a prepaid,
Yeah.
meter.
Do we foresee any challenges in the future?
No, they actually anticipate that they're going to save. You see, with when it comes from NEMPower directly, it's an estimation.
Right.
Now,
I guess it also leaves opportunity in here. Maybe perhaps we need to at some stage call maybe a electricity or a energy expert in. Once these prepaid electricity meters are basically in, and the electricity gets used up, the meter runs backwards. So let's say it runs from 100 down to 0. But you could connect, you've got other facilities in terms of, let's say, solar power, which you can then install systems which will then, let's say during the night the meter would run backwards, but then solar power during the day would make the meter run forward, that kind of thing. So I think with this whole story, I'm actually quite for this, because I think there might be some other opportunities for NWR.
if they consider a solar panel, there's always opportunities there.
Yeah. So let's have a look at a couple of the comments coming through. Franco Josie says, "Dear Life, I was advised by the Minister of Higher Education to study at University of Limpopo with promises to be granted a study grant, just to find out the university is not accredited and NSFAF deciding it's no longer a grant but a loan." So what do you think Franco is doing? Is he asking us whether we can assist him in paying for his education?
Is it not just sharing? I think
Maybe
he thought he
he's-
was going to get. They know NSFAF is no longer giving grants; they're giving loans now.
Aha, okay.
For people, I think, studying outside. I know Shalago said he received a grant and he studied, I think, in Malaysia.
Right.
But that's not happening anymore. Now it's loans. Understandable. I agree with that. It should be loans.
Yes.
It should be loans.
Yeah. So you get your education and then you basically go into the workplace and you work in order to pay back your loan.
Absolutely.
At some stage.
And a lot of us did exactly that. Look, for me, the NSFAF is still like it's one of these issues that I don't think we'll ever see eye to eye. Because of what we perceive. I think it's unfair that so many people got loans and they're not. And I'm not talking about the ones that are still unemployed. I understand that perhaps the market doesn't allow for job employment. I'm talking about people that have been working for 6, 7, 8, 10 plus years and have not even attempted. They're waiting for NSFAF to approach them, but they've never approached NSFAF to say, okay, I know I got a loan from here.
Right.
Can you pull my bill so that I can start making correct? It's like everybody's just evading, hoping that, the system will crash or that their file will disappear.
They'll forget you.
Or they'll
something
forget
like.
you, or, the company will be dissolved. And you know what I mean? Not realizing that future prospect students also need those loans. And if there's no money...
Yes.
it's not a bottomless pit that always,
Yeah. So what you're saying is that if the loans are not being repaid,
Yes, then
there
there's
are
no
no
money.
funds available for other people to get their education.
And so I don't entirely blame people for it, although I feel like it should be a civic duty
Yes.
to pay for your loans. I don't think you should be asked. I would like to see Namibians being honest enough to avail themselves and go to the office and say, I got this loan. or I got a loan, can you please look in the system? I want to start making correct on it. I know Namibians most likely will not do that, like I said. So there's a level of dishonesty there.
Yeah.
But I think also, of course, most of the blame goes with NSFAF and how they just have not put proper procedures in place to ensure that that money comes back. And I mean, it can be, like I said, simple. It's just like how, for example, you cannot escape the taxman. You can decide not to pay for it, but when you die,
yes,
one way or the other,
the taxman will
collect.
Correct.
There's no way that the taxman loses. And I feel like with NSFAF, and I've said it here before, they should have had a system so that when the graduates enter the job market, there's a system available for all employers to access. And they work it in your deductions. Like they work the pension and the social security. They work that deduction in your salary.
Right.
So that money
goes straight back. And I think if they did that, it will also be easier for people to negotiate their salary. Because I say, okay, fine, I still have a NSFAF loan that I need to pay back. Social security and all this other stuff, what will I net? I can negotiate better with my prospective employers. I want to net, let's say, 20K. Right.
So give me a dummy. But when they give me the dummy, they have to show the dummy with the deduction
of NSFAF.
Yes. So that I can, it allows people to negotiate better for their salary. If you know that there's that payment that has to be made, it shouldn't be something that surprises you.
Yes.
So, but if NSFAF had put better systems in place, that would have been a standard practice.
Yeah.
Nobody would be evading.
Mario, do you perhaps know, purely because I don't, I mean, it's not as if I studied at NUST or at university in Namibia. I did my studies in South Africa. But how is there a control measure in terms of those higher education institutions where they actually do a control of how many qualified people in different categories they actually provide to Namibia, let's say on an annual basis? For example, that they would say Namibia, and I'm just using an example, Namibia needs to get 200 lawyers every year instead of 500 lawyers every year. I'm just using that as a very stupid example, because if we have all these qualifications coming out and there are too many of them, then there would be no work for them because there's so many qualified.
That's been the criticism that I think a lot of people have had, is that we don't do that type of research. To see, we don't know where the needs are, where the areas are. For as long as you want to study law, you go study law. For as long as you want, is there space for you, you go. You know, it's like, and this is actually the sad part. Like they started an engineering faculty in the north, UNAM, and so many unemployed engineering graduates. So they're graduating, they're qualified, but they can't get jobs because there aren't any jobs.
Wow.
And when there are jobs, it's in specialized engineering areas where then they don't have the skills. You know what I mean?
Yes,
if you're talking about wastewater management, for example,
okay,
and say that's not being taught, then you have to get a foreigner to come in and oversee the project because you don't have enough engineers that specialize in that, or bridges, or whatever it is.
So they qualified, let's say, in general engineering, but they didn't specialize in any of specific fields.
Yes.
And hence when they go out there, they've got a generalized engineering degree, if you like.
Yeah.
But they won't be able to get employed because we need specific skills in specific areas of, let's say, engineering.
And unfortunately, engineering is also one of those things where, like, years of experience also works for you.
Yeah.
So, meaning if you don't have experience, that also works against you, especially for specific projects. Imagine you're not going to get a first-year engineer overseeing the construction of a bridge. You know what I mean? It's just nobody's going to be willing to
risk it.
Risk it.
I mean,
yes, and they shouldn't risk it.
Sure.
It's not a good look, but that's just one example. But there's lots of examples. There's nurses. We have doctors.
Yes. Yeah, I know that in terms of the medical industry,
Yes.
we need that a lot. So we still on the topic of education, because I actually absolutely love this topic that we're talking about. We conducted an interview yesterday, which Informanté Live will be bringing out by next week. There are job opportunities opening up in the tourism industry,
I didn't know that.
like crazy.
Really?
Yeah. So for those of
isn't
you
it
out there,
unstable?
and well, it all happened because of this whole COVID thing, and now that the borders have opened up, and you know the tourism industry and the hospitality industry is opening up their doors again. We got it from a very good source that there are job opportunities in the hospitality and the tourism sector.
Jobs such as?
Not necessarily on worker level, but on supervisory and lower management.
Really?
Really. So do your homework out there. Have a good look around. Maybe approach the tourism sector if you are qualified in terms of the tourism sector, and just have a little bit of a closer look. There might be a little present for you there.
Something.
So, just back on the education, what sectors do you think we would need more expertise in?
I wouldn't know, because I haven't seen that. Like I said, I don't think they've really necessarily did like analysis to understand.
Yes.
Because it's like there is some people. This a sad word is unemployable.
Right.
Unemployable just because there's in the what they've studied for is useless in this market.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
you have like, I'll just give an example. What do you call this? Archiving. Just
Right.
an example.
Yeah.
So many people study archiving. How many jobs are there for archiving?
Yeah. I hear exactly
Probably
what you're
2 or
saying.
3 or 4 at the most. And if they're taken, what about the other 20 graduates in archiving?
Right.
So you're unemployable.
When our children grow up and we start asking them here towards the end of high school, what is it that you would like to become? And they say to you, maybe an accountant or a teacher or nurse or an engineer, of whatever it might be. In that basically is their choice. But quite often, I think they don't fully understand that choice that they're making might, although they're qualified, might make it very difficult to find a job later.
I would like every year an institution, whether it can be a PPP, private-public partnership, putting out a list
Right.
of the job opportunities in the market,
Right.
but to do a forecast in 5 years,
Yes.
so that child that's just leaving matric or just graduated high school
Right.
can make better career choices,
Okay.
because then they understand where the gap is, where there is what do you call it when it's too many people, where there is
An overflow of individuals.
for lack of a better word,
Yes.
like in sectors where it's saturated, and where there's an opening, which industries are neglected or which professions are neglected, and where the potential is. Like I said, it has to be a forecast, because when you go to university, it's 4 or 5 years.
Yes.
Do a forecaster and make that available to schools every year.
Yes.
Every year, so that especially the matriculants, so that they can kind of better understand their options.
Sure.
And make better career options.
Do we still have career counselors in schools?
I think we do, but again, those are counselors that might not have that information either, because I don't know if they're really doing that type of level of site. But it would help. It really would help. If you know, for example, there's a shortage of geologists in the country.
Right.
A great shortage, and this shortage forecast is for 4 or 5 years. Then a child living matric now and that loves, let's say, geography, can go study geology.
Yes. Yes.
And know that when they graduate they have a job. But if there are no opportunities and they don't foresee any opportunities in the next 4 to 5 years, and you go study that, then you're realizing like you're going to become unemployable as
Yes.
well.
And then you've got a loan.
And you still have a loan.
And you
at the
still
end
have a
of the
loan.
day. Exactly.
Okay. So give us your thoughts. Let us know in the comment section. We're just looking at a couple of the comments coming through. Janice is asking, Kaufi, is that a new haircut? Let me show
Janice
you.
would notice.
Janice. Yes, it is a brand new haircut. I got it from Tatakulu. And Tatakulu is actually a very nice hairdressing experience for specifically men. So go and have
Tatakulu
your
is still
haircut.
open?
Yeah, Tatakulu is open, but they've also got these mobile units.
Oh, all right.
So there's a mobile unit in Olympia, and it's actually quite nice. I know the guys now already. You know, we're familiar, we're kind of friends and all that. So kind of just stop there and have your haircut, and they order you a beer.
All right. I didn't know Tatakulu is still open. I used to take my
Yes.
son there. He loves it.
Yeah, Tatakulu is actually the experience of it, especially if you like grown up and you've got like a bit of a beard and all that, and they do the whole facial. That's actually quite lekker. Okay, so Tangeni says, Kaufi and Maria, please stop. They want to know more about the sports news. Now, you are a big sports fan,
No.
Maria. Or used to
No,
be Cubase
sorry,
that gave
Olympics
us
is
all
over.
sports news, asseblief.
No, sorry. No, not me.
Right.
The sports people are gone. They're not in the studio. So sorry, guys.
mean,
Unless you want to share sport news and
Yes.
we can read your comment.
Why don't you give us
Yeah.
your information and we'll pass it on?
Yeah, and Deshipanda says, we don't have career counselors in public schools,
Okay.
but there are life skills teachers who are not necessarily equipped to properly advise learners on possible career choices. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that again is a shortfall. I think that's also where we fail ourselves. Oh, and then she helped me out with the word saturated. Yes, I did end up using that. But yeah, saturated is the word. The market is saturated. Kaufi's Friday performance for us. It's Friday perform for us. Oh,
It's Friday
exclamation.
perform for us. Well, to believe you me, my entertainment calendar is extremely full. And so, because it's always like this in October. So, yeah.
Is it
it's-
Oktoberfest? Are you guys
Oh,
going
it's
to do this?
Oktoberfest everywhere. So today I'm doing one for a private company, and then tomorrow we'll be at the Stellenbosch restaurant.
Oh, there's going to be like music there, and
Yeah,
like,
I'm
during
performing
while-
there. It's like all Oktoberfesty stuff and all that kind
nice,
of stuff.
nice.
So yeah, we're looking forward to that. Let's just have a look. Shall we talk about a bit of a contentious issue?
What is it?
Let's talk about the fairness in terms of remuneration for security guards.
Oh yes.
No? So the Informanté has reported that the Otjizondjupa Regional Council and 3 security companies are at loggerheads over a decision by the council to withhold the final payment owed to the companies pending proof that all security guards under their employ have been paid. So chairperson of the Otjizondjupa Region Council, Madeleine Bakera, explained that the decision to withdraw the last and final payment is a stand against the abuse of security guards in the region. According to Bakera, after a 3-year procurement contract between the regional council and 3 security companies came to an end, the regional council learned that some security guards working for said companies had not received their salaries for up to 5 months. That's incredible.
Up
That
to
is
5
absolutely
months.
incredible.
Imagine not getting your salary for 5 months and you're
Yep.
still coming, showing up for work every day.
But imagine your security company has been paid by the client
Yeah.
and you don't get...
Yeah. So this happens, unfortunately, to more security companies than I guess we care to even admit.
Mhm.
They go out on tender, like they did in this case. They get a contract with the regional council. The regional council has a mandate to provide some security services to certain ministries. So that's why they go out on tender for 3 years.
Right.
And then they pay their bill every month, and then for whatever reason, this money does not make it to the security guard.
Yeah. I know also that, especially from the security guard industry, or security industry, but we're not talking guards, that there are often quite a lot of labor disputes between the security guards and also their employer.
They're also grossly underpaid.
Yes.
I mean, I think they make on average 2,000.
Right.
Net.
Wow.
And these are people that work probably the longest hours.
Wow, yes. Because they've got these shift systems where they have to work, let's say they're working for 12 hours on, 12 hours off, and then they do that, let's say, I'm just using an example, maybe for a week, and then they are 2 days off. You know, that kind of shift.
Really off.
Yeah, and then when somebody else doesn't pitch, then they have to stand in for that person again and all that.
It's a high it's a high risk job because you're working at night, you're protecting buildings. We've been seeing this cash in transit that are happening. I think we've already lost 3 security guards in those type of incidences, shooting, or they just shoot them because they want robbers want money. And so it's also a very high risk job. You're literally putting yourself on the line. Sometimes we had an incident, I think last year was it in Grootfontein or one of those areas, where a female security guard was raped. She was at a school, but she didn't have a weapon either.
Right.
They don't give them weapons. So she was overpowered and raped.
Wow.
I don't know why they would let a female security guard work alone in a night shift.
Right.
With all the risk, especially when you don't give them weapons to protect themselves.
Sure. If you've got a security guard there and he's got nothing basically to assist him in order to do his job, which is to look after perhaps property and all that kind of stuff. If they get overwhelmed, how are they going to look? A security guard is some form of what do you call it? If you see a security guard, it offers some form of saying, okay, don't rob this place because I'm standing here. But isn't that pretty much there where it ends? Because if the real robbers come and the real criminals come, there's actually nothing that they can do.
There is absolutely nothing. There isn't. Even, and like I said, we sit with even this cash in transit. I think it's when you realize they're there. Yes, those ones are armed, but do they have the necessary training? Do they are they protected?
Right.
I know they're supposed to protect, but as far as they can be protected, like wearing a bulletproof vest. That type. I mean, if you're carrying cash around, I would like to imagine you walk around with a bulletproof vest.
And I think also that there are some there are some organizations that basically have the security guards there purely because their insurance policies stipulate that a security guard has to be present.
Really?
Yeah, because there are insurance policies and policy wordings that say, okay, you can bring your premium down if you assist in lowering the risk, so why don't you employ security guards? So then these employers, they go, then these companies, they go to security companies and say, okay, let's make a deal for security guards. So we'll get the security guards. There's going to be some form of employment for the security guard, but we'll be saving the money on our insurance premium.
Yeah, I mean, I think sometimes also there's a challenge. I know I was speaking to a friend of mine that's also considering getting a security guard at night. I think it's a couple. So their fear is, what if the security guard becomes an informant?
Oh, yes. Yeah. I haven't thought about that one. Yeah. Then the tides turn. So then they
say, okay, when we're not at home, then now somebody knows we're not at home.
Right.
And it would be the security guard.
Wow.
So it's all these things to consider. And I'm not saying all of them are like that. I think for the most part they are there to really do a job, because we know that a lot of them, even when there's robberies, they also get injured. Sure. And I'm not talking about where they're working with thieves and just tie me up and punch me in the face and make it look real.
Yes.
So that you can gain access to the house type of thing.
Then I'll fetch the money later from you.
Yes. I'm talking about in cases where they're really injured because they were protecting your property. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about in the instances where they do work with, with the criminals and it's tough. It's tough. So you have to consider a lot of things.
Yeah. So, remember a couple of weeks ago that whole looting that went on in Durban, in the Natal area, in South Africa? I mean, those security guards were rendered absolutely useless.
No, they were.
I mean, hey?
But in all fairness, what did
Shame.
you expect them to like?
No, I
do?
mean,
Like everybody's looting.
Yeah.
Everybody's looting. It's one security guard versus a mob of 50 people. Like, is he really capable of doing something?
No.
And sometimes it's self-preservation. So you also
Yes.
like, I'm not getting paid well enough.
No,
to kinda
I would definitely not consider a career in security guarding.
Shame, it's really not.
Okay, so Istamish is asking, do they dress up for Oktoberfest? Here people go nuts, the whole traditional dresses, the long braids. My husband and his friends bought the original attire. They actually traveled to Germany for the huge mugs of beer every year. Boys will be boys. Yes, Istamish, boys will be boys. But it's not only for the boys, it's also for the girls and the ladies. And yes, we do the whole traditional southern German dressing up thing and battle dress to go and drink beer. That is what we do.
Jenna says the only security guard who acknowledges Ricardo.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
This is a very popular one.
So that's basically the security guard thing. So let's just keep, I don't know who it was, I think it might have been Deshi Panda, who asked for a couple of the sports news. What we can give you is the Premier League fixtures.
It was Tangeni, in fact.
Was it Tangeni?
Yes.
Okay, I got that wrong. Sorry. So this evening at 9 o'clock, we've got Arsenal playing Aston Villa. Tomorrow at 1:30 p.m., it's Chelsea versus Norwich. And at 4 o'clock p.m., 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, Crystal Palace against my favorite team, Newcastle. And we all know what happened to Newcastle. They got a huge cash injection from these Arab investors. So it's going to be interesting to see what we're going to be talking about on Monday morning when Neville is back in terms of Crystal Palace and Newcastle. Then also Leeds United against the Wolves tomorrow at 4 p.m. Everton against Watford also at 4 p.m. tomorrow. So there you have at least a little bit of the sports fixtures.
Agile Bleno.
I hope so.
All right.
Yes, I hope so.
It's a slow Friday, coffee.
It is. We've got all this stuff to talk about, and the
what
news
stuff
is
do we
just
have to talk about?
Okay, going back in time a little bit. Namibia's trajectory in terms of energy. Did you?
Okay.
We were talking energy this morning. So Namibia's work on H2 energy plan and the consequential development and participation in the Southern Africa Energy Corridor and a lucrative international export market for green-based commodities is already well advanced and pending project approvals for the unlocking of a future energy export-driven economy. Why has Namibia not developed enough in terms of energy export? Is it too expensive? What is the hiccup?
I think you would need
somebody
that specializes in that area to come and give that.
We've got this big desert. We could just put a couple of mirrors in there and solar panels, and we'll get all the energy, and we can.
You know what I learned? Apparently, solar business is lucrative, but it's a very slow business.
Very slow.
Very, very slow. I think a lot of people look at it as something that they want to make money off of now. We're talking about 20 plus years
before you see a return on investment.
See a return on investment.
Yeah.
That's a long time. Most people don't want to wait that long.
Yes.
5 years, maybe, at least. 20 years is a long time. So I think that's the issue with a lot of the solar business and solar energy, and why I think more Namibian companies are not entering into that type of business.
Yes.
They don't have 20 years. They don't want to wait 20 years.
Yeah, it's just too long.
It's just too long now.
I mean, it also depends on your age and the availability of the funds. So let's say, for example, you are now 30 years old. You are now in a position to buy yourself a home. Let's say you've got a little bit of a better job, you've got some more money coming in. I guess then putting your entire house or building under solar and saying, okay, I'll be willing to bite the nail for 20 years, but then when I am 50 years old, I'm going to see the real returns, and then I'll only have 15, 20 years left to live. By the age of 70, it's, kind of over. So I think you hit the nail on the head there. Is it worthwhile if the return on investment is so incredibly low? So in Luderitz, we've got these big fans, these big wind chargers. And I do believe that the return on investment on those wind generators, energy generators, the investment is even longer.
Really?
Yes. And here comes the other problem with these big fans that we've got. You know those blades of these big propellers?
Yeah.
You know that they cannot be recycled. So let's say after 20 odd years, you've now got a return on investment, you've paid this thing off, your return on investment. Then quite often there are some of these blades that need to be replaced. So then you're sitting with two problems. You've got to buy new blades, and then the only thing that you can do with those propellers, put them into landfill. So the big question is that really also an answer in terms of energy? Whilst we are all under pressure, worldwide we are all under pressure to lower our carbon footprint.
Why can't they be recycled?
Well, I don't know. I think they're made of a certain material that they cannot be recycled.
That's crazy.
That's absolutely crazy.
Okay, that's what I learned for today. They say you learn something new every day.
There we have it. Okay, it is Friday. Let's talk about weekend stuff. Do you enjoy making food over weekends? Are you a great food lover, Mario?
I'm a foodie.
Okay, you make it yourself?
I make it myself. I buy it. I have friends. We come together and make stuff. It's whatever it is.
Right.
I love cooking. Yeah.
Okay, so what's on the plan at the
Nothing
Eleca homehold for the weekend?
Nothing planned. We'll probably go out. We like to dine out on Fridays. Just so that I get a break from the kitchen. We'll see. But our thing is breakfast. We really take our time with breakfast. Make sure there's everything on the table. We sit together and we just delve in.
Okay.
You want to talk about food on a Friday?
I love, this is the time where we start the braais and all that kind of stuff. I love cooking. At the Kaufi's house, there, cooking is a big thing.
Yeah.
So
who mostly cooks, you or your partner?
No, we do both together. Zeli and myself both together, and usually there's a bottle of wine that gets opened up, and we talk about the day and all that. So no, we are keen cookers. We are also keen outdoor meal makers, not necessarily in the kitchen.
How long are you guys together?
Oh, we're together now for 8 years.
8 years? Do you find that it's important? Okay, plans of getting married?
Well, both of us have been married before, so we've discussed that. In terms of kids, there's going to be nothing,
of course,
no kids. And then we've also said, our friendship in terms of our relationship is so good, why go and institutionalize it by getting married?
Okay, so marriage is not necessarily something you are...
No. Our stuff is in order in terms of the relationship and in terms of what we have and how we look after that. I've got 2 kids, and they actually fill the space in terms of the relationship quite well.
All right, Kafi, so I'm going to ask you, the relationship, I actually just thought of something, right? So now I wanted to ask you a question. Nothing to do with your relationship, just something else to understand. So today I was listening to Eagle FM, and they were talking about this pregnancy rates in schools, which is about over 1,000 annually between 13 and 15 years of age.
Right.
The reason I'm bringing this up is then Wanda was talking and he said, he says, when we read baby dumping stories or these teenage pregnancies in schools and whatever, why usually don't they include the white race, whether it's African or like the Germans in Namibia. And and I thought, you're actually very correct. I don't ever recall I'm in the media writing a baby dumping story that involved a white girl. Okay. And he said, we should perhaps, it's time we ask the question, what are you guys doing different so that we replicate, right? So I'm asking you, Kaufi, in the German community here in Namibia, are incidents of teenage pregnancy high?
You're asking me actually something that I don't know.
You don't
I,
know?
I think it does happen.
Yeah.
I think, and that's just what I think.
Yeah.
I cannot put I don't have the facts.
Yeah.
Okay. I think it's low,
Yeah.
but it does happen.
Yeah.
And then, what happens afterwards? If we were to think of teenage pregnancies in terms of, let's say, the black community,
Yeah.
that teenage pregnancy, does that happen in affluent families or perhaps poorer families?
Poorer, but also it can also happen in the affluent, but
Yeah.
yes, obviously more marginalized.
Yeah.
But I also took it upon myself to ask colleagues here, and they said two things to me. The first one, they said, teenage pregnancies do happen. The only thing is the families handle it, meaning a lot of times, Cape Town too.
Right. Oh, yes. Those special little trips.
Those
Okay.
special little trips that
Yes,
nobody
yes.
talks about. We're just going on vacation,
Correct?
but you're going
Yes.
to, because
Yeah.
abortion.
I'm aware of those little
Yes,
trips.
Yes. Abortion is legal in South Africa, so they take their children to abortion. It's never spoken about. Most times, nobody even
Forgotten
knows.
about.
It's forgotten. It's a non-issue. That's the first thing. So they handle it. Secondly, they said that they actually family planning, contraceptive use is encouraged
Very.
with teenagers.
Let me give you the example there. I'm not talking pre-independence.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, when I grew up as a teenager, my dad passed away when I was 10 years old, and just living with my mom was extremely conservative.
Yeah.
Very, very conservative. So I was never cleared up by anybody in terms of the birds and the bees.
Yeah.
Okay. I happened to have learned all of that by chance when I was in the hostel in Cape Town and at school.
Okay.
Okay. So nobody came to me and said, listen, Hannes, we need to sit down and have a talk. This is actually how it works. And, if it does happen, then this is the way one can manage it. Nobody ever did that. And then when I started working, that was now basically post-independence. I started my career in banking. I had a girlfriend that was about 5 years younger than I. She was in matric at that time still. So, and even at matric, she was already on contraceptives and she was totally cleared up.
That's what I learned. Apparently, largely in the white community, when girls become teenagers,
Yes.
Especially around the ages of 15 and 16,
Right.
they put the girl on contraceptives, usually the pill or whatever, just even if she's not sexually active,
Yes.
just so that if anything were to happen
Happen.
and she was curious or she,
Yes. Yes.
that she knows that, at least the parents know that it's sorted. And I thought that was very insightful for me.
Maria, as a woman, at what age should girls go on contraceptive?
I would say 16. I would love
16,
to
huh?
see from 16 because, and I, by the way, I started using contraceptive as well before I was sexually active.
Okay.
But you need to understand, my parents are also medical doctors, so
Right.
they're a little bit perhaps more progressive thinking than your typical, Wambo parents. Where that stuff is taboo and stuff.
Yeah.
So I was put on contraceptives. I started using contraceptive at the age of 17.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Maybe if it was up to my mother, it would have been a year earlier. But okay. I think there was a question of, are you sexually active and whatever. And I mean, I was lucky enough to have that type of relationship with my parents where I could be honest to them. So at 16, I said I have no plans of really starting to. I have no interest to start having sex anytime soon.
Yeah.
So that's why we postponed it.
Okay.
To another year. And yeah, at 17 I did it, and even then, even though I wasn't sexually active, I thought that was okay. You know, moving forward, this is okay. But, and also obviously preaching condom use, like make sure, you know, the condom use is a real thing. But I think the where the challenge is with us, you know, especially within the black community, is first of all, sex. We don't have a healthy relationship with sexual reproductive health, like conversation. It's something we bury our heads in the ground.
Yes.
We would prefer to think teenagers are not having sex, but teenagers, until we get the numbers of over 1,000 teenagers dropping out of schools annually.
Wow.
I'm talking about the teenagers I'm talking about is between ages of 13 and 15. So in some cases, it's statutory rape.
Wow.
So they would actually qualify for an abortion because abortion is allowed here on the conditions of rape or in the incidences of rape, but because nobody's reporting it.
Yes.
And
the whole shame about it.
The whole shame about it, how you're castigated in community. It's just a vicious cycle. But ultimately what happens with it is girls, the girl child, and even the boy child, you know, doesn't include them. We then grow up with a very unhealthy relationship with sexual reproductive, you know.
Yes.
We don't talk about sex. We are afraid to express ourselves. We're even afraid to admit we enjoy sex, for example.
Yes. And then you end up living your life with a completely unsatisfying sex life.
Absolutely.
Unsatisfied sex life.
Absolutely. Like there are women that in their 40s have never experienced an orgasm.
Yeah,
there are a lot of women that don't know how to be a little bit more liberated in the bedroom. There are a lot of women that can't discuss certain things. There are certain men that can't ask their wives to do certain things because it's taboo or this, and we just have unhealthy relationship with sex. But this starts from a very young age, where even when the kids are having sex, it's something that should be covered up, cannot be spoken about, should be hidden, nobody should know about it. But then, so that's why they can't even go and get condoms, because the taboo, there's like, why do you have condoms? You're only 14 or 15. But if you are sexually active at that age, you should have condoms. Condoms should be made available to you. We've said time and time again, if schools know that kids are having sex, we can't pretend the kids are not having sex. The kids are having sex. So the question is, why don't you have condoms available in school?
Sure.
Not to encourage them, but to encourage responsible sex, to encourage safe sex.
Yeah.
Because the argument from the schools is, if they see condoms, then they get the message that we're telling them, go have sex. No, you are telling them that if you want to have sex, use a condom.
Yes.
You see how the thinking is the other way around?
Then there are still a couple of other factors that play a role. Let's say the children are brought up extremely conservatively, right?
Yeah.
And they are being told, no, we keep that topic we keep taboo. It's not even discussed.
Yep.
It doesn't even feature.
Yeah.
The bucket is going to fill up at some stage, and the water is going to flow over.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
Then we've still got the religious part to it.
Absolutely.
Okay. So
the religion is just saying, abstain, abstain, abstain. Wait till you're married. Wait till you're married.
Yes.
Even the people telling you wait till you're married did not wait till they're married. So it's like, can we have realistic expectations for these kids? They're not going to wait for me unless they want to. It's very rare. My brother is one of the people that waited, right? But it's not because it was drilled in him that he should wait. He made that decision for himself.
Sure.
And And a lot of people don't make that decision for themselves. Majority have sex before marriage.
Yes, yes.
In fact, a majority have sex before 18.
Sure.
You know? So if these are the facts, why aren't we then trying to put kids on contraceptives, encouraging condom use?
Yeah.
You understand?
Absolutely.
Maybe that's why it's so low in the white community, because they are doing that for their children.
Yeah.
And we're just like...
Vezi is saying, my suspicions are that the small percentage of girls who fall pregnant in the white community may have access to supervised abortion in South Africa. That we spoke about.
Yeah,
it.
that's exactly
And we
what I
totally
said.
agree with you,
Yes.
Vezi. I think that happens a lot.
Yes. And obviously this is, again, more affluent families. Of course, they can have access to it because they can afford to go to Cape Town and do it. And that's why we're obviously advocating for abortion here to be legalized, so that the kids that are not from affluent families can equally access safe abortion. Because if it's done within their first 8 months, first 8 weeks, that's a safe abortion. It's a medical abortion. It's a low...
So what we're talking about is the teenage pregnancy issue in, let's say, the black community, is that these teenagers then don't finish school.
They drop out.
They drop out. Yes. Because this is actually quite a pity that Neville is not here in this conversation today. Because some time back, it was a while back, where Neville and I had a conversation where he said, in the black community, it is often the case that when younger, not necessarily teenage girls, but younger women fall pregnant, that quite often these children end up in the care of the grandmothers.
Yeah, a lot of times, yes.
No? So, and that is also to a large degree a financial issue, because they have to go out and earn the money, and they just don't earn enough money to have the capacity of bringing up their own children in their own system. So typically, this also puts another system under pressure if the teenage girls get pregnant in school.
Because then they are mothers.
The mothers and the grandmothers now they've got no choice.
Listen, when we say grandmother, it's not necessarily their grandmother. It's their mother. It's the kid's
grandmother. Sure.
The kid's
it's
grandmother.
It's
the mother. So sometimes, yes, it can be the grandmother. So it would be the great-grandmother, the baby's great-grandmother. But a lot of times it would be the grandmother, the baby's grandmother. So, but that's because... obviously maturity. So if even an 18-year-old falls pregnant, so they've completed their education, yes, they've fallen pregnant at 18, but at 18 they can't really care for a child. So who takes care of that child? Their mother does.
The mothers. Yeah.
Their mother does. And then they usually would leave the home, maybe go look for job opportunities in Windhoek. Let's say you're staying in the north. Go look for job opportunities in the north or the coast. And that child really becomes the mother's child, almost, The grandmother raises that child as her own.
Yes.
To a point that child and the mother don't have almost a close relationship.
Yeah. I can only imagine that the social pressures on the family then are huge.
Yeah, of course.
Because
it's right now it's just a sense of community. So we don't necessarily see the social pressure just in such a case, right? It becomes the social pressure is increased when, and you'll see this a lot of times. I'll give the North as an example because that's my reference point. That's where I'm from. You go to a village and you have an elderly woman caring for like 6, 7, 8 little ones.
Wow.
That she's feeding out of her pension, for example. And these are not necessarily little kids from the same mother. It's like different mothers all just dropping off their kids.
Yes.
And they call it utekul, like my grandchildren. There's a pride that, these are my grandchildren that she's raising, right?
Right.
But realistically, can a 75-year-old really raise...
Do we then see perhaps baby dumping out of that perspective as well? Because the pressure is just too much for such an elderly person.
Yeah, you need to remember that baby dumping a lot of times it doesn't start from just... The dumping is almost the final step, right? So the first step is falling pregnant, right? And then realizing you don't want that pregnancy, but you don't know how to get rid of it, right? A lot of them will attempt, like, putting belts on themselves or trying to drink some concoction or whatever. And then that doesn't work. And then they hide the pregnancy.
Wow.
With baggy clothes, oversized clothes.
Yes.
Try to hide it because you don't want people to know that you're expecting. And a lot of times people don't know that you're expecting. They hide the pregnancy. And then they hide the pregnancy from everybody. And then they go give birth alone.
Somewhere else.
In the field or in the bushes or in the, even in the toilet, the toilet, it's a pit litter. They go give birth alone.
Wow. That is just so incredibly sad.
Then they dump the baby. So then that's why sometimes they don't catch them because it's difficult to tell who was pregnant. That's why the police, you'll see the information says, if you suspect anybody was pregnant in the community and now they're not, come and inform the police. Because a lot of times the baby dumping happens especially exactly because the expectant mother didn't reveal that she's pregnant. So a lot of people, so the baby dumping is not the first, it's the last, it's the final. It's the final nail in the coffin. They go through that 9 months really in isolation, hiding things, being secretive, trying not to show that they're expecting. And it's exactly because of the shame.
And then what is, for me, even worse is that the men or the boys
they continue education.
They're just oblivious of the whole story.
Yeah.
They're just walking around there as if there's nothing wrong.
There's
probably still bragging about it.
There's no responsibility on the boys. And I don't say this, look, if girls don't continue, the education system has changed their laws to allow, or their rules to allow the girl child to continue while still expecting.
Yes.
So you can go, leave school, give birth, and return to school. You're allowed to now. They've changed the rules. In the past, when you fall pregnant, you're out. Yeah. But now they allow you to continue your education while you're pregnant. But
in the same school?
In the same school.
Okay.
But the sad reality is a lot of kids opt to drop out. Why? Their friends, their teachers, how they're perceived, how maybe they are mocked by other kids.
Yes.
I can imagine it's uncomfortable being in a class with your peers.
The bullying would be terrible.
Exactly. So a lot of opt to and also the pressure from the families to drop out because of the embarrassment and whatever.
Yes.
But then the kids drop out in that day. And also there's responsibility placed on them to care for the child after they're born. So after you don't have the luxury to go back to school because it's like, okay, who's going to take care of your baby? The first year you have to breastfeed, at least. And then after that, go find a job and support your child. Who's going to buy the child nappies? Who's going to do that? So you rarely return to school. I'm not saying that assuming she was impregnated by a fellow learner in the school, he can continue his education uninterrupted. I'm not saying that's wrong because at least if he takes on the responsibility, at least one of them will have the possibility of finishing school, graduating, and potentially making good income to support the child.
Yes.
That would be in a good case scenario. But a lot of times that's not what happens. It's just hands off completely. Yes, continue the education, good. I don't think the boy child should be punished as well by saying both of them should leave the school. There's no sense or logic in that.
Yeah.
In fact, all of them should finish their school.
Yeah, because that's what we need. We need educated people for the future.
Exactly. But where is the responsibility?
Yeah.
Where is his responsibility? Where do they begin and where do they end?
And then, of course, you've got then family pressures.
Yeah.
Because there are two people involved, and those two people have got their own families. So, quite often I could only expect or suspect that this happens is that, let's say, the family of the girl said, what with that guy? No, come on, not then you've got pressure there. Or the boy's family would say, with that girl, no, we don't like them. That kind of those pressures. Also, there are so many influencing factors.
There are so many influencing factors indeed, and I think it's especially varies from community to community.
Yeah.
sometimes it's not. I mean, culturally in the Shivambo culture, it's considered bad luck to deny a child.
Right.
So sometimes the father doesn't, but the family will still say, his family will still say, look,
Yeah.
we're not going to bring bad luck onto our family by denying this child.
Yes, sure.
So we're going to acknowledge, and there's that traditional exchange of stuff that you need to give over, like you give a name.
Yes.
The side of the family will give a name to the child and whatever to acknowledge, the child will receive the last name of the father.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so forth. But that doesn't necessarily mean that translates to a present father.
Yeah. Well, then, just in terms of the comments coming through, Tangeni's asking, wie is Hannes? Okay, sorry, I didn't make that clear, Tangeni. My birth name is Hannes, but everybody calls me Kaufi, so Esimish already cleared him up. Then I don't know what Muhau is referring to as daters ook Hannes. So she's putting that into a question. I'm not quite understand what you mean by that, Muhau. And then Esimish also says, that's also a problem, to be embarrassed by a pregnant teen, especially if you didn't have the talk with them. Some parents and guardians are failing the teenagers.
Absolutely, and that's
Sure.
most of
Sure.
where the failure is. We're just not having these discussions with our kids, guys. We are not having these discussions with our
Yes.
kids, and I think we're really doing ourselves a disservice, and that's why the stats look the way they are. That's why we are in this situation. I mean, we don't want to give kids condoms or put them on contraceptives, and we don't want to legalize abortion.
No.
So what must happen? So no condom use, no contraceptive, and no abortion. But at the same time, we cast them out when they're pregnant.
Yes.
We make them feel ashamed.
Yes.
Baby dumping is on the increase.
Right.
So that's not going down.
It's a huge social problem we're facing here.
And you say murder, yes, murder, abortion, murder. 8 weeks, it's a fetus, no heartbeat, nothing. That's not murder. Murder is when they're forced to go through with that pregnancy that they did not want. All right? But they don't have, there's no opportunities for them to terminate the pregnancy when it's still right. When
Yes.
it's a low risk procedure, it's a low risk. Abortion actually is a low risk procedure if done in the first 2 months.
Yes.
It's a low risk procedure. It's done. You'd get discharged the same day.
Sure.
You heal very quickly, and you can go on to have 20, 30 kids later on if you wanted to. Nobody's going to stop you.
Yes.
It doesn't really affect anything. It really is low. The problem is when you wait.
Are we pushing the agenda here to have abortion legalized?
I don't think we are pushing. There's some of us that wanted legalized.
Wanted, yes, sure.
But of course, a majority feeling, I think, for Namibian, that's largely, as they say, Christian,
Sure.
largely conservative. I think, not to offend anybody, but largely puts its head in the ground and
Yes.
completely ignores refuses to turn a blind eye to the realities. Because that's what the ministry was saying. Ministry of Health is the realities. We need the law to amend to they must match the realities on the ground. The realities on the ground is that abortions are happening by backdoor.
Sure.
And they are happening under conditions that they are not safe.
Yes.
They might not be happening in the village, but what's happening in the village is the baby dumping.
And there's another problem when it comes to, let's say, the religion side. The religion says, oh no, abortion is let's say it's no.
Yeah.
Okay, but then when these kids are born and they're born out of wedlock, then all of a sudden the kids can't get baptized.
Yes.
So how does that work now?
Yeah.
Oh, no abortion here because that is the set of rules apply. And then when the baby needs to get baptized, no, sorry, this baby was born under dubious circumstances the church don't agree with, hence we're not going to baptize.
And that's why I feel like the church is not being honest in their position. I mean, they said that, we'll build shelters for these kids and whatever, we're willing to take them in, whatever. I remember my cousin of mine, when she fell pregnant in 23, she was 23, but this was Pentecostal church that she was with, and she was a Sunday school teacher as well, and she fell pregnant, and when her belly started showing and she had to tell her pastor that she's pregnant, the pastor said, well, you can't come to church and teach kids while you're pregnant and unmarried. It sends the wrong message. to the kids in the Sunday school. So she had to leave.
Right.
She returned. I don't know why she returned, but anyway, maybe I can't reason. I don't know the logic behind certain things. She returned a year later to that church after she had married the man that had impregnated. By then, she had already had the child.
Yeah.
She had been married to the guy, and then she returned to and then the church accepted her. Of course, I didn't have this conversation because it's not my place.
Sure.
But I remember thinking to myself, in your time of need,
Right.
the church casted you out. Why would you return? Why would you return to the same church that judged you, that showed you no support,
True.
that
Perhaps
made you
maybe
wanted to
taking a
make you
choice,
feel
go to
ashamed?
another church.
I don't
You
know,
know?
yeah, but she just completely left church for that year and returned. She returned to the same church. Like,
Okay.
it's her, she's still there today. It's her decision that she's got 2 more kids, so she's got 3 kids now.
Yes.
But I remember at the time thinking, why would a church cast you out
Wow.
when you're in need? This is when
Yeah.
you need support. But it was more for, no, you're unmarried. Shame, go.
Yeah.
But that's the church. So I'm thinking, if you can't even show support to unmarried pregnant women, how are you going to take in their child? If you take in their children, will the mother still be allowed to continue going to church? Or you say, hey, excuse you, while you're here, your child at the shelter did not have breakfast. Go feed you understand what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
But I gave the child away for adoption. Why you...
Wow, Mario, you're giving me quite some insights here.
We're having very, very dishonest conversations, and I would like us to just stop and have honest conversations. Honest conversations. Otherwise, this is not getting better. Anyway, that's our time.
That's our show, Maria. Thank you very much to our viewers and listeners out there. A bit of a different Friday morning with Neville not here and all that. Maybe also a bit of a somber topic, but we need to discuss these things. And thank you very much, all of you, for joining us. Stay safe this weekend. Have fun this weekend. It rained throughout Namibia, so you'll see the air is very clear. It's a bit cooler. Just have yourself a lot of fun this
and again, just a reminder, Monday to tune in, we have the lovely Zita Jesus, interior designer and decorator. Go check out her page again. I say Orange Peel. She does amazing. She's just she's one of those people that's in an element of her own, because she's low cost. She's a low budget. She's a DIY. She's not your fancy interior. Anybody can hire her.
Wow.
You can hire her, and she come into your space and she just works with your budget, works with what you have. She's not those super expensive interior designers. But most importantly, like, the thing that we're excited to discuss is Pimp My Shack. There are pictures that she's showing there of how she transformed shacks to give back people a sense of dignity. And we're going to have that conversation on Monday. So please tune in. That will be a very, very nice one.
I'm not going to miss that.
Yeah.
See you on Monday. Have a great
Have
weekend.
a great weekend, guys.